talk to you unless you actually type your name in the Zoom. So really exciting stuff. Oh my gosh, my brain is like on fire. Welcome to day 4 of the I Love AI challenge and our week together. And every single week, we've done some really cool stuff, evolving every day. We do something new and exciting. And so today, I'm really looking forward to sharing with you what we just did over in Maven. And it's not too late. I thought yesterday was the last day, but the owner of the course ended up deciding to open it up and let you register right till the end, which means you can go and listen to the recording of the things I said. I hope it was good. I don't know. Maybe we could talk a little bit about that as well. All righty, let's see here. So, welcome everyone. Kathy's in the house. Great to see you. Amazing. Good to see you all. Awesome. Afua Joe. Hello, Alonzo. Nice to see you. Thank you all for being here. Oh, I did it again. Clicked a button and took over my whole screen. Sherilyn's in the house. Thank you so much for opening the doors here so everyone could come in. Great to have you all. So as you join in, like I said, welcome to day 4. This will be available on replay later, but I am so grateful that you decided to join me live. We'll see how it goes. We are now live on, all the channels that I try to go live on. So we'll see what happens. Ooh, we got a couple note taker apps in the house. This is the first time I've seen them all week. So great. Here, my rule typically is that note takers aren't allowed to be here unless humans are here to monitor them and govern them. However, I only see one note taker that's currently not associated with a person. So maybe I will give it a minute. And it's a public session and you can go replay it anyway and do all your note taking you want. Today, though, I wanted to focus on the session that I just delivered. So I do want to open it up to questions and give you an opportunity to chat with me about my career. I don't know how many of you saw my career post that I did on LinkedIn yesterday to kind of drive traffic to this session. But it's funny because it was an interesting conversation. I will just say that. It was interesting because I've done so many things. So it's really hard to say little things about a lot. But I think it was really valuable. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Great to see you, Pamela. Nice to have you here as well. Janeba, hello. Great to see you as well. Awesome to have you here. So don't forget, once you join, I need to make sure that you all can see my link. So once you join, definitely say hi in the chat so we know that you're here, and I can make sure that I call out to you and say hello. What's up, Bill? Awesome, cool. Thank you so much. So it's great to have you. So an hour of really kind of a barrage of questions around what helped me become who I am, which I enjoyed the conversation because it allowed me to kind of really think about the earlier days of my career. And so today's session, day 4, is all about how to get a role in AI. And while you can go and please do, I'm not going to cover any of the things I talked about in that course because that's Brian's course and I don't want to infringe on that. So if you want, it's a very affordable course. It's only $100 with my coupon code or discount code. So please feel free to do that. Awesome. And yes, let the connections begin. Thank you, Joe. I always appreciate when somebody starts, I can remember to say it. This is an incredible room to be in. There's amazing people, smart, ambitious, kind people in this group that are just looking to help you do more of what you're doing. And you might be a person who's willing to help others do more of what they're doing better, faster, stronger with the art of AI. And if that is the case, throw your LinkedIn in the chat. Just allow people to connect with you. I will give you a little bit of a hack as people throw in their LinkedIns. Just go ahead and click on the link and open up the page. And then after we're done today, you will have an opportunity to go through them all. But I encourage you not to just click connect. Look at people's profiles, check, of course, connect. But look at profiles, check them out, see what they're doing, see if you have anything in common. You'd probably be surprised how much you have in common with people. All right, so let's get this party started. So getting a role in AI, because I don't want to infringe on the information, the fun, amazing stuff I got to talk about over the last hour with that group, I want to focus on why I am successful and how I got the jobs that I got And what that means is that I've had an opportunity. So I'm not going to take, yesterday was all about being an entrepreneur, which I love. And I'm 100% in right now. That is where my heart is. I thrive in an environment where I own the whole pipeline and process of connecting with customers and delivering value. I like it. I'm not good at being a cog in a machine. And I say that because if an employer sees this, I would want them to know that that's who I am. Like, I always tell people it's better ahead of time to disclose these things because otherwise they uncover it later and go, well, that's not good. And then it's not comfortable for a little while you exit that organization when all of the whole time you knew that that's not how you operate. This is why I think it's good to have lots of conversations with hiring managers and the teams that you'll be in. I like to talk to people that I will report to, as well as people who will report to me. I like to talk about adjacent leaders. I like to talk to adjacent leaders as I go through a hiring process. And the reason for this is because sometimes I know it can be hard, especially if you're at the end, kind of a long tail of work or missing work or not being in a role. We get more and more anxious to get that role. But you'll find if you get that role and you don't do the due diligence on your own part, 6 months later, you'll be like, I should have asked this question. How am I in this situation? And then you have to make a decision. Are you going to suck it up or are you going to quit? And many people, this happens at Amazon all the time. Just look at people who've worked at Amazon. The vast majority of people who got jobs at Amazon spend less than a year at Amazon. And it's actually enough to give people pretty good credibility, but less than a year. And if you think about onboarding, kind of getting into a job and getting to know your team, like I feel like you need at least, I don't know, 9 months to like even deliver a thing. This is why I always, even if I'm in a bad hire and I realize I got into a role that they either were not super disclosed about or they changed their mind, which does happen all the time. I make the best of it because my job, and this is what I do before I even get into the role, is I make a very deliberate, intentional conversation with that hiring manager on what success looks like. I want both of us to look each other in the eye and be like, this is success. This is success. Yes, that's success. Okay. And then I go after it and I don't leave the company until I've hit that benchmark. And usually it's at a year mark if I get hired in a fiscal year, or maybe I have to carry over in order to close a fiscal year. And of course, I'm usually on like sales enablement, customer success, solution architecture side. So I can measure my success against the client work that I've done. But that moment where I say, like, if that person is fuzzy in what success looks like for you before you start, it will only get worse when you get there. And the worst part about not having clarity on what success looks like for you is that the goalposts can shift at any time. What you think success is, and what even you say, is this success? And they're like, eh. And you're like, okay, I'm going to take that as a yes. If you take that as a yes, I mean, my experience has shown me that those goalposts moved, their expectation of what success looks like changes. They don't disclose it to you because that was not an agreement you made up front. And now when you get to performance review time, which is crazy to me, this happens all the time, that a hiring manager will come to you, or like your boss will be like, hey, so I don't know how many of you, actually, let me know in the chat if you've ever been surprised by a performance review. Maybe in the positive way, but probably in a negative way. If you've ever been surprised by a performance review, like I consistently get surprised when I'm like, when were you going to tell me that you were worried about that? Or that that's a thing I need to think about? Like, I don't find out till performance review time, which is on a yearly cycle, that they're wanting me to change my behavior. And now I'm already dinged because I didn't know to change my behavior earlier anyway. And I feel like that's why about 15 years ago, when I noticed this pattern that I'd get into roles and I wouldn't have this clarity, and that clarity would turn into me being in a role that I couldn't be successful in because the goalposts would shift. I was like, okay, now I want to be crystal clear. And that's helped me immensely. It also is very satisfying, I guess, to the hiring manager to know that I care about this. Like it doesn't hurt me to go into into an interview or into an offer negotiation with clarity on what does success look like. It's a hard conversation to have, especially if you don't know what success looks like. But now we have the benefit of large language models, which we didn't have a few years ago. So you're going to bounce these ideas off of your friend, the LLM, and say things like, what would success look like based on this job description? Start there, if nothing else. Huge, huge opportunity. Yeah, so many of us have been like shocked. They're like, wait, what do you mean I'm not like, and what's worse is when you actually think you're overperforming. Like you think you are a rock star and they come in and they're like, like, not only are you not a rock star, you're not even in the top part of the bar. Like you're in the lower tail and you're like, how is that possible? I remember, I will just tell you transparently, candidly, that I have said to people in these conversations, well, don't my numbers mean anything? Like I have these clients and they're making this money and I've influenced this revenue. Like, isn't that the goal? And they would tell me, no, that your numbers don't matter. And this is heartbreaking. And I just want to warn you, I hope it never happens to you. And some of you, you'll never have these conversations. But sometimes those goalposts, right? I would think it's on growing the business. And it turns out they're like, no, we'd actually appreciate you doing less of that and doing more of whatever nonsense they want me to do. Building curriculum, writing content, even managing people. And again, I always like say, like, I don't know, I feel like I do all the things, but sometimes, I'm like, well, I don't have any direct reports. So, and then they will say, like, I'm an independent contributor and management and leadership becomes a new goalpost that I have to hit. And I'm like, I don't have staff. And they're like, we're looking for people who lead without staff. Like, no. And again, fine. If that's true, tell me ahead of time. But if it's not, don't do that. Anyway, I don't want to get into like the nonsense that's been my hiring and firing, not firing. I've only been fired once. And I'm glad it happened. It like super inspiring. There's nothing, I always say, like, there's nothing like getting like betrayal to ignite a fire under me. Like, like when somebody betrays me, and it happens all like too often, when I am betrayed by someone or a situation and I feel like upset about it, I wake up that next morning and I'm like ready to go. I literally have on my phone, I have a bunch of icons. I use this is one of my things I use to help motivate me, but I use what is it called? Widget. There's a widget thing. Widget anchor, widget wizard. Hold on, let me type it in so I can give you the right Widget Smith. I use Widget Smith to orchestrate my phone. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but like I like choreograph what's on. I don't just have a bunch of apps. Like it's choreographed. And this is right? Like I have one that's all my AI apps. So I like orchestrate it and organize it and color code it. And it's beautiful. And I look at it and it makes me happy as opposed to my phone, creating anxiety. But one of the things I have on here, not only Girl Boss, that's one of them. But I have this little, message here that says, work hard in silence and let success be your noise. And that is a mantra that often after a betrayal, that's what I do. I put my head down. I don't complain. I don't go crazy on Facebook and write some emotional post. I put my head down and I prove that they were wrong about me. And that I've done it consistently. So consistently, in fact, people know it before they hire me. They know that if it doesn't work out, that, like I'm not going to blow them up on social. I'm not going to tell people the dirty laundry of how they treated me and done me wrong. That I'm just going to work hard and I'm going to be better and I'm going to be more successful and I'm going to attain bigger success. And I'm going to do that in silence. And you're going to look at my success and watch me launch a best-selling book and watch me get on Good Morning America or whatever. And that is going like that's enough for me. Right? Like I don't really mind, things don't work out all the time. Chemistry doesn't work out all the time. But I do always want, I always say this about my high school. There was a guy, a professor in high school who told me that I would never really amount to anything and I should just quit high school and go to get into food service. I don't think he's alive anymore. He was very old at the time and that was 30 years ago. So, but like that, like that energy of like, I just don't see it in you. And like honest, like I don't see it in you. I don't, you're just not cut out for a world of like college and university. And he was actually right about most of it. But what he didn't know is that I'd actually figure it out. Like that I wouldn't just like lay down and be like, okay, I guess I'll just stay making $16 an hour for the rest of my life. But when I got that feedback, I went on to do amazing things. And I always, like every so often, I'm like, I wonder if he ever, was like, darn, I guess I was wrong about her. I don't think much about it, but every so often you think, but it is fuel. It's fuel for the fire. So one of the things I do want to talk to you about today, though, is the process I use to become who I am from a much more practical perspective. So I talked a lot about like how to get a role in AI. And I gave some tips and pointers in the session and I answered some questions, but I want to tell you, and actually, I don't know if, let me look and see if Sandrine's here. So this also comes from the conversation we had, because I don't, right now in our communities, I don't focus on this part very much, but it is a critical part to my success. And it's kind of like, how do you get someone to hire you if you don't have the skills? Like literally don't have the skills. And so I want to walk you through that in today's session. Getting a role in AI, of course, is the end game, but the reality is that you have to actually show up like ready to play. Like you need to have done your homework. And I think right now, like there is one of the people that I follow and like I have met and connected with. His name's John Maxwell. He writes a lot of books on leadership. And one of the things he talks about is this concept of the people pile. And so today is focused on career. And if you are on the path to getting a career in AI, you are in a people pile. And everyone has raised their hand to join this people pile of individuals that think and talk and, enjoy the world of AI. And this is why I say the first thing you're going to need to do is figure out how to get out of the people pile. And there's lots of ways to do it. I've demonstrated quite a few, and I'll talk about my favorites. But this is the goal, is how do you differentiate yourself and distinguish yourself in a world where everyone thinks they know AI? And AI is like this general term. It's like saying, I know how to use Word. Like literally, that's kind of the I know how to use Word. I hope so. Like we're in a world now where like AI is becoming such a commoditized term, but the implementation of it is actually not a commodity. The actual use to do it, to drive business value, not a commodity, specialized skill. But in the marketplace, it's flooded right now with people. So you're in a people pile. How do you get out of the people pile? So I'm going to give you some examples of ways that I got out of the people pile, and I hope you will enjoy it. If you have any questions about what I say or want me to dive deeper or even go in a different direction, please feel free to throw it in the Q&A, and I'll also keep an eye on the chat. But I appreciate you all providing me some commentary. Yes, his books are awesome, Javier. Thank you. Yes, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. And he's here in South Florida. So another reason why I like him. Okay, so one of the things, so getting out of the people pile. First thing, you got to know your stuff. You have to actually know what you're doing. So here is my suggestion to you. And I talked about it with Sandrine yesterday. I'm hopefully not sharing anything you don't mind me sharing. But I talked with Sandrine about it because I was like, it's really important. Like I had the benefit of literally going on the exact same journey as my clients. I started off at IBM trying to build like application infrastructure, middleware, WebSphere application server. Like that was my first job, was teaching people how to build application servers, which meant building websites and apps that people could interact with. So I'm like, literally, like, I don't want to simplify it, but it was like I was a web app builder, right? I wasn't. I mean, I ran the infrastructure, and WebSphere is no easy thing. But like that was the first step. And then from there, now I'm really comfortable with middleware. I get to VMware. And now I'm at VMware, and my job is now virtualization. And part of that role was Spring, which was another layer of software that you could use to build applications on virtualized hardware. This is all before like AWS and Azure and all these people got big. Like this was when VMware was still their main play was virtualizing hardware you own before people decided to rent hardware instead and get out of their co-located data centers, right? So I'm now like in a place where virtualization is just becoming a thing. So I'm gaining these skills, not realizing who I would be today, right? But I'm gaining these skills. So I go from learning WebSphere to building virtualized hardware and understanding kind of virtualization and cloud infrastructure, to getting hired by AWS as a cloud architect, getting my certification, helping clients, building projects. The entire time I was doing this, I always tell people I got my degree from the University of Barnes and Noble. And I love Barnes and Noble because they served me so well in these years. But I was at over my skis. And that's a term that people often use to say like I was like underwater. I knew less than I needed to know to do my job well. So every weekend, and this is before I had kiddos, every weekend I would go to Barnes and Noble and I would study like crazy. TCP/IP, networking, cloud. Like there weren't books on cloud, so I had to study virtualization. There were all of these like certifications. I didn't get them, but I studied the books and I practiced. I will tell you the way I got my AWS cloud certification is I built hundreds of like VPCs, hundreds of them with different configurations over and over. I over prepared. But that over preparation, right? Going in, knowing I'm going to take this certification, I went in and built and built and built until it became second nature to me. That exact pattern of knowing the task I want to learn and learning it till it becomes a habit, a second nature, muscle memory. It allows me, when I went into that certification, I finished it in like, I don't know, maybe 40 minutes. I was first done. First one done because I was like, oh, oh yeah. I've done that 100 times. It was so easy. Could I have gone the other way and done it a little bit? Gone, took my test, failed. I could have, but this was the way I did it, and it worked for me. But this taught me a pattern that I've used dozens of times since. That I now go, oh, I want to learn this thing. The first thing I do is go build it over and over and over again. And when I say build it, back then it was code or infrastructure, literally setting up EC2s, like setting up compute clouds, setting up storage, like back then nobody was doing that, but I wanted to build it. So I had access to AWS and I was just building infrastructure to support that task. Then now, move forward a little bit. I end up going to a company. VMware spun off a company called Pivotal. And Pivotal was Pivotal Cloud Foundry. Some of you might remember it or know it. It's not dead. But Pivotal Cloud Foundry, it was all about big data. Hive, Pig, y'all remember this, right? So imagine like I go from IBM, which everyone was using, middleware, to virtualization, which now everyone starts using, to AWS. Well, now I went to Pivotal, and now everyone's talking about data and collecting data. No one knows what to do with it, but collecting data. So I'm learning these skills as my clients are going, like I'm right on the path that everyone is on. I'm just a little bit early than everyone. I end up going from VMware to AWS, or from Pivotal, which was a spinoff of VMware, to AWS. And then Alexa came. And the same thing happened. I'm now, again, a little over my skis saying, I want to be on that team. What do? I start building. So I go and look for anything that's remotely related to Alexa. I go into GitHub and I start building these projects. Now, today it's easier than ever to replicate what I'm talking about. So I'm going to share with you a little bit of the tips that I would use today to do it. But back then, I literally had to like search on GitHub for voice applications, speech to text, text to speech, push to talk. These were words that I would use to find Alexa type applications. I ended up landing upon one. Can't even remember the guy's name. I think his name was Sam. He wrote this project called Alexa Pi. I don't know how many of you are in that world or remember those days, but Alexa Pi was a GitHub project, and it had all the specs to go and buy a Raspberry Pi and take Amazon Alexa, the Alexa voice service, put it on the Pi in order to get a Raspberry Pi through your, do I have some of those headphones around? But like the headphones, like the Apple headphones that have the little push button on the side for, I don't know if you guys remember that, but anyway, so they have a push button on the side for controlling volume. Well, you could build a Raspberry Pi to act like an Alexa, and then I'd push that button to talk to it. It was very cool. And so I could build my own Alexa. And so before I got the job, I built that. Right before I interviewed for the role, I had experience building what they were going to ask me to build. And that means that I'm way more, now I'm out of the people pile, right? No, most people are not going to do that work because it's hard, right? Most people are going to be like, I know kind of what this is. And I watched people who didn't do any of that get jobs. So again, some of you won't have to do this. I hope you don't. If you can just get a job by just saying, I'm who I am and hire me, great. But the way and again, I was on a mission, right? Remember, my first son has Down syndrome. He's 9 or 8 at the time. he's just starting to learn how to really communicate with his voice. And I hear about Alexa and I'm like, oh, I am on this team. This is going to change his life. And it has. He's like crazy verbal now. But that experience, I was like driven. I was going to do it. And so I wanted to make sure that when I got in that room, I would be prepared. One of the questions I shared on the call earlier today, one of the questions I got in that interview was like, if you were going to build Alexa, what would you do? Now, I already had built a bunch of applications. So I could be like, oh my gosh, well, I built this thing. And they'd be like, you built what now? And I'm like, yeah, I built, Raspberry Pi. And while I did that, I got this idea. So I could be much more, you know, critical in my thinking. I could have much more expansion in the type of ideas I could have because I actually did the thing. That's why in the AI Leadership Institute, learning by doing is so powerful. Like learning by doing is the game. If you do it first, if you get receipts, if you are able to document your experience, you are pushing yourself out of this people pile. Maybe just one hand at a time, but it gives you that opportunity. So that's the first thing that I do, is that I go and I try to figure out how can I build. In the world of AI we are in right now, you don't even need to know how to code. I mean, I knew how to code already, but I use coding skills to establish those projects. I built them. Today, you don't need that. Today, you don't need to actually know how to write code. You can ask a system to write code for you or not build it with code at all. Actually, this month, our live learning lab this month is using Power Builder and AI Builder, like the Power Builder suite from Azure and AI Builder to build a relatively complex application with no code at all, just using the tools provided by AI Builder. So look forward to that, AI Leadership members. And if you're not a member yet, you of course can share. We'll throw in the link in the chat. Yeah, Raspberry Pis are still fun, Eve, 100%. I love it. It's actually a great project for like getting people from feeling like, I don't know, when you get a Raspberry, like a piece of hardware to do something that you wrote code to do, whether it's turning a light on or better yet, creating an Alexa device, like it's super exciting. But yeah, we'll throw into the chat the link to the AI Leadership Institute if you all want to play with us and do the Power Builder. But every month we do a new live learning lab. Last month we did a digital twin. This month we're going to do Power Builder. And we have different ones scheduled every single month to kind of, again, to follow my philosophy of like, build it. Now, it's not enough just to do like the motions of building. So here is kind of the powered up version, is that once you build it and you get some muscle memory building a solution, you then actually want to create a holistic project. So what I encourage you to do is, for example, let's see, I might even be able to show this to you. Let's see, shall we? Yes, let's go over here. There we go. All right, I'm gonna go back and share my screen and show you some of the things that I'm talking about. And then, so what I'm wanting to do is that to get a role in AI, to move into a career, you will get a much faster, better opportunity if you actually identified things to build and implement before or as you're on that journey. If you've got spare time, yes, spend a lot of time navigating through like where you could put your resume and putting your resume together and submitting it in these lists. But the other thing you can do is actually start building, because once you get the hiring manager on the phone, you're going to want to be able to talk about something real. It's very, I mean, it has surprised most of the hiring managers that I've ever spoken to. All right, so let me share. There we go. All right, so I'm going to take you over to our AI leadership or our I Love AI community. I was just in here. So let me go to the classroom just so you can see where it is for those of you who are here. So if you're not in the I Love AI community, you're now getting a chance to kind of see what it looks like in some of the classes that we have. But way down here at the bottom is GitHub Solutions. And in these GitHub Solutions, I don't have all of them, but this, I'm just going to show you a reference point. So this gives you, I wanted you all to just get started. So these are some basic samples that Microsoft has provided that you can build. So you should, right? Building a DALL-E C# application. Again, do you need to know how to code to do this? You don't need to know how to code to build it. Like you can actually learn how to code by following these examples. But I want to show you a couple other things and the way that I work. So you'll notice here, and I will finish the sentence and I'll call you up, Javier. Thank you for your question. Uh-oh, does it mean you can't see me? Oh, hold on, hold on. Maybe I didn't share my screen correctly. Chat. Oopsie. Oh yeah, thank you. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Awesome. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna zoom in. Can you see it now? It should say Azure Samples. I hope I'm in the right place. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. All right, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more. Good point. So I just want to show you what my world looks like. So these are the repos that I have forked for my benefit, and there's quite a few. And so these are the ones that I'm slowly but surely loading into I Love AI so you all can see the ones that I work on. Now, what I do is I search GitHub for projects that are end-to-end examples that give me a holistic experience of building something. So let's go to like this. Actually, where do I want to go? I think I want to go to, let's try Azure OpenAI. Okay, this is not my, maybe it is. Let's go. Yeah, this is it. So this is a bunch of notebooks, but they're organized by solution. So you could see call center, smart assist, right? Semantic search, summarization. So these are good examples, and I have tons of them, as I mentioned. I'm going to go back here. Oh, there we go. And just show you a couple of the other ones that I have used. Is this the one I'm in right now? I don't know. I'm just going to poke around a little bit to give you an idea. Oh yeah, that's the one I was just in. So let's go down here and look at OpenAI demos. I think this is my solutions. Yes. So look at these types of examples, right? Like content generation, agenda content generation, airport code detection, avatar creation, OpenAI quick demos. So as a consultant, these are things that I fuel myself with, that I build so that I can build these very quickly for my clients when I have a conversation with them. But once you build a bunch of these, you'll start to notice kind of like bass lines in music. You're going to notice some of the patterns that we use to build these solutions. So I'm just going to go into like, I don't know, let's go into like air code detection, right? It's just Python. But here's what I do. Now, again, you might be like, I don't know Python. That's okay. This is one of the things I think with Sandrine's inspiration. I was like, oh, we should do some of these. I led an expert Gen AI project at Accenture last year or 2 years ago, I guess, a year and a half ago. And in that project, we had an opportunity. I can't believe it's been a year and a half. But in that project, I led a bunch of projects to teach people inside Accenture how to do, how to build AI solutions so that we could push them into the field and help our clients. And so in doing that, I would step them through this code and then ask them to go rebuild it. So that is what I'd encourage you to do as well. Now, to run this, you do have to, you'll notice here, it's going to ask you for your key, right? Your OpenAI key, your base, you're going to have to copy that in. But then you could just run this code, right? And so I'm thinking that it might be valuable for us to do this in our community, to just step through some of these projects. And that way, once you know how it works, like how you can get the API code to work and you've got the keys, I can give you keys as well to my own services. So you can use them for the purposes of the test. But you test it, and the more of these you do, the better it will get. However, you'll notice here, they regenerated this. First, it was built all with humans. They've regenerated it where they leveraged GitHub Copilot to fix some of the things. But you can also launch this. Let me see if I can show you where that is. Let me go back to OpenAI demos. So I'm going to go to the root where all of these examples are. You can also launch this in your own environment or on your own machine, which is what I do, or you can leverage code spaces. And that means that you can leverage your browser to demonstrate and use these tools, which means it will likely already have all the right packages set up and all of that. So you don't have to spend as much time on your physical machine making it work. So I share this with you because there are hundreds, and you'll notice I forked all these for myself. I'd encourage you to do the same. Don't fork a bunch of them if you're not going to actually do the work, because then it just clouds up your repos. But I'm going to go in and show you, I think it was this one. Oh yeah, that's the one I'm in right now. And then I'm going to show you one more that I really like. Hopefully I can find it in time. I mean, semantic kernels, one of my favorites. There we go. So this one, which is this, I'll copy this link and put it in the chat for you. It's one of my favorites. This is what I basically trained a bunch of people just by teaching them these accelerators. There you go. Oh yeah, you'll definitely see the session replay, Nilda, in school for sure, for sure. It'll be up later today. Sherilyn's been amazing at getting these replays up for me, so thank you so much for that. But now notice in these solution accelerators, these are actually client accelerators. So these are projects that you can build. Oh yeah, that's right. I hit the wrong thing. They moved it to notebooks, I think. Where did they put it? Quick start accelerators, use cases. They put in use cases. So in this case, there is call center, podcast summarization, and movie reviews. So I've built out call center for multiple clients, but now you can see the data that's used. But let me just go back a little bit and show you the README. So with all of these projects, there's a good README that like lets you see kind of what it is and how to use it. It'll show you a little bit about how to set it up to make sure that you can run the test. But here's the thing, like, is it going to be hard for you to do this? Yes. This is what hard looks like. Like, yes, it will be. Will you know what you're doing? No. Will it break? Absolutely. But this is why it's fun to do it in groups. And that's why I created the communities that I have. Like, it's fun to do it together. So when you get stuck, most people, when they get stuck, they quit because they're like, who am I going to get to help me with this? This is the art of solution architecture. Knowing how to build a solution so that you can then say, oh, I built 100 of these. When you talk to a client and they tell you something that they need, you've got 100 of different ways of doing it to pull from, right? And that's just one example. Of course, you'll come up with your own ideas. But when you're first starting out, it's really important to do this. Now, what you'll notice in these use cases, in these examples, is that they're just data. Oh, let me move this out of the way. Like data, bad review, good review. And then, so it's like call center semantic, sentiment analysis. And then the notebooks, the call center notebook. Nowhere in here is a requirements document, a functional specification, user acceptance testing, right? For some of you who are like in the TPM world, like you can now take this outcome that a data scientist team built, like they built it, it works. You should make sure it works. But then you can actually build a project. So you now are going to have to manufacture from this, which you can use AI to help you do, manufacture an actual project and rebuild this in your own repo as a project that defines all the things that a full end-to-end project would need, from requirements gathering to deployment. This is just the code, so you can kind of see how the code works. There's so much you can do. And when you can take something that started like this, turn it into a full-blown project, notice here on GitHub, you have the ability to build projects in your repos. So when you fork it, you can establish a project and actually build it out. Now, when you're on a call with someone or doing hiring manager, you can be like, oh yeah, you could see I did 16 of these projects on GitHub. It's all public. You can look at the projects to see how I organized my thinking. The days of, I mean, you all, if you're not a coder, right? If you're not a programmer at heart, or, if you don't work in Python every day, you may not be able to, you may not want to do all of that. And that may not be the job that you're going after. But being able to reference to a hiring manager or even to a recruiter just to get in the door that you've got these projects that are referenceable to prove that you have done this before. They do not ask you what client you did this for. That's not, I mean, maybe they will, but that's not what they asked me. They looked at the projects and went, oh, tell me more about this project. And then I explained to them how I thought it through. They're looking for, how do you think about problems? And the more you can demonstrate that ahead of time, the better. Not only for your own confidence in describing what you can do for a client or in a hiring conversation, but also in letting your reputation precede you. Because as soon as you build this project, you now can create all sorts of content. You can create a podcast talking about the project episode or series of episodes. You can create a blog post series. You can create content on YouTube. You can actually turn on Twitch and just watch, build the project on Twitch and build content as you go. There's so much opportunity. But this is the hard part. Find a project and just build the project. And this is a big part of what I find for this you do. But you don't have to have Azure to build out these projects. Like for example, in my session, when we do our live learning labs, because I give you the API keys from my own account. That's part of the benefit. And those keys were actually provided to me from Microsoft through my MVP nomination. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I get it again this year and I have more credits to share with all of you. Okay, cool. Thank you all. Let's see. So this is, how I do it, right? I go to a repo, I fork the repo for myself. I create my own copy and then I build out a project for it. That's what I'd encourage you to do as well. So it's way more than just stepping through code in Python and understanding how it works. It's understanding in order to deliver that code to someone, what would the requirements need to be? What would the functional spec need to be? How would we test that we're doing it? What's the metric for success? Like thinking much more broadly about how that solution would impact the business. And I find that that's like, these are like rock star skills. If you do that, you will set yourself apart. But it's not easy to set yourself apart by just doing that. You then have to actually tell the world that you did it. So creating content. So this is part one, which is start building stuff. Now, again, you don't actually, GitHub is how I do it because I am a technologist. You don't have to use GitHub. You could do the same thing in like coming up with ideas through ChatGPT or a AI model of your choice. I'm just going to go to chat. Oh, gee. All right. So I'm in ChatGPT. I can now, I could even just ask questions about like the most important thing is coming up with a problem, right? So pick a domain and ask what the problems are. And then, like, let's say, I want, and I do like that it has like automatic filling. It's interesting. This allows you to kind of see what kind of algorithmic bias is in the model, but I'm not gonna point that out right now, but you can go do that as a side hustle project, a side quest, if you will. I want to help financial services companies with what are some of the challenges oopsie they face on a daily basis that AI can help. Right. So all I'm doing is asking, I am an O3 mini, which does a little bit more reasoning. I really like the O3 mini. I'm like addicted to it. So it will give me the reasoning that it use so I can actually click on it and find out how it's thinking about a question, which I think is pretty cool. So in this case, risk assessment and fraud detection, regulatory compliance, data processing. So if this is my industry, I'm going to pick one of these: customer service and personalization. I kind of like that one. Okay. And so now I can actually start ideating with an AI system. How will I solve this problem? All the way to the point where I can ask it to build me a system prompt to train a custom GPT that solves that problem. Are you with me? If you're with me, type a 1 in the chat so I know you're here. I'm trying to make it easy on you. Does it make sense? I hope so. Awesome. Well, Javier's in the house. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sandrine, Afua, Michelle. Awesome. Thank you. I know some of you are not right in front of your keyboard, so it takes a second. So thank you for that. Yeah, I think this is how you differentiate yourself, is that you now no code necessary, right? Now here it says right now risk assessment, creating an algorithm to analyze data. So maybe what I'll say is what low code or no code solutions can I use for each? And at the very beginning, at the very least, you can start talking about this, right? Like, and building this. What? Guess what we're doing in our live lab next week? What? Like literally that. It might know that. It might know that because of my history. But anyway, right? So now I've got a tool or a platform, DataRobot, RapidMiner, whatever. I've got a tool, UiPath, Power Automate. Now I go into that tool and I use again an AI model to help me build out something. I don't need a client. I don't need someone to pay me. I could just do this and create an end-to-end solution, problem identified. Now I'm going to decide on how I'm going to measure success for that problem. And I'm going to use one of these tools to go and build that problem. And then you actually build it. And it's hard and it'll break and then you fix it. Some of you in this call know the joy that comes when you fix broken stuff. Like it is very exhilarating and a huge confidence booster. And so be willing to fail. Like that is the game, is build something, it will be broken. And now you have a community though of people, right? In the I Love AI community, you can be like, hey, I tried to build this thing, it didn't work. I know at least a dozen of us in the community. And granted, it's 1,300 people, but at least a dozen of us build on a daily basis. And we can be like, oh my gosh, I'll help you with that. I know members of our community that get on one-on-one calls with people to help them through things that they're struggling with. I mean, that's what the community is all about. It's not all Noel all the time. It's a lot of Noel some of the time, but it is all about us being willing to kind of like have a safe place to talk about what can we build? How can we build it? None of this requires AI. I'll tell you right now, I'm in the process of building a solution for an organization where we're leveraging a no code solution to help them with data insights. Like this is a huge problem for very big companies. These companies are $100 million companies and they don't have the bandwidth to solve this problem for a specific organization. So if I go in and say, oh yeah, I'm really good at helping procurement departments solve this problem with AI, like I'm so narrowly focused. And usually again, procurement, sales, marketing, like they usually are the last to get deep learning or machine learning love from the tech teams. So it's really a good opportunity. Anyway, so this just helps you ideate. So use generative AI as a thought partner to think through how you might build this and then start asking much more detailed questions, right? Like, oh my gosh, like bot framework. I mean, you could, but there's, I'm surprised it didn't say Copilot. Oh, I guess I didn't hit search. So I should probably try that again. Let's see if I can get a different answer. Now that it has access to the internet. Right. So, I really do think, if you want to get a role in AI, you have to take a step back and realize that there is some work you need to do before then. Like it's not just about positioning yourself. Let's see. Oh, good. It's still thinking about the same thing. Oh, it did change one of these platforms. So that's good to know. UI. Yes. Awesome. Yeah, I see it totally. Okay, cool. Let's see about customer service. Yes, yes, yes. It still put framework. That's all right. But it did change it to ManyChat, so that's good too. Anyway, so some cool stuff. Blue Prism. Oh, I used them once too. Anyway, it not only that, but it gives you some cool ideas of tools to go look at specific to this industry. So when you start thinking about how do you get yourself known, become someone who blogs about how to use Power Automate, how to use Blue Prism, how to use UiPath. And the benefit of that is you're already trying to figure out how to use it. So this is what I do. I don't typically go in the wild and test, like I don't just turn on my camera and show people stuff I've never tested before. I build a project, I get it to work, and then I go and create a session on it. Right? That's what our Power Automate. I just did a Power Automate project that used AI Builder to solve a problem, and we're going to replicate that. So when you do this work of going into GitHub or using a conversational, like a model like ChatGPT to help you think about a problem, and then you go into a model and you build it. Once you do that, I think it's really beneficial to then reiterate what you did in the form of content you can share online. So that is how I'll kind of wrap up what we do here. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and just share with you the biggest influence, I think, to the work that you're going to be doing in order to get a role is to establish yourself as an authority in the space. And so I'm going to give you a couple hacks to do that. I personally don't like to pay to play, but you can definitely do that. Meaning that there are services and systems that you can pay to be a part of that will help amplify your message. And if you need to, you should, right? Like there is no shame in paying to play. I don't necessarily think you want to pay for someone to say you're cool, right? Like top 10, business insiders on AI. And the only people on that list are people who paid to be there. I don't think that's a good model. However, I think there is an opportunity for you to pay to become part of a membership in a community that amplifies each other's work. And so I will give you a couple of examples, or at least one example. But one of them is like Thinkers 360. Thinkers 360 has its own model and data platform for aggregating content of professionals. I didn't know about them until I got recognized on one of their leaderboards, and I was like, ooh, this is cool. What is this? And so Thinkers 360, maybe I can put the link in the chat if I can find you all. Hold that thought. Oh, I can't find it. I'll find it. I'll find it. I'll find it. But Thinkers 360, oh, there we go, is one of them. I'll throw it in the chat for you as well. But that platform, oh, actually, maybe I'll go take a look at it. Give you a sense. So that platform basically has its own algorithm, and it identifies experts in the space. However, if you want to be able to feed that algorithm the reality of what you do, meaning it doesn't make it up, like you have to tell it what you're doing. If you tell it what you're doing, it will promote what you're doing. And so let me go in and I don't know, I'll see if I can sign in and show you what this looks like. I think it's off LinkedIn. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this works. It might be LinkedIn. If it's not, we won't do it. So it's thinking. Right. And so this platform, what it offers you the ability to do is just say, I blogged, post, podcast, did all this stuff. Ooh, invite peers. Okay. Oh, I have to email address. That seems like a lot of work. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. But I will maybe share with you. I'll post the link in the chat so y'all can see it. Comment. Hopefully, maybe Sherilyn can do this for me as well, because I actually don't see it in here. I don't have the chat available. Let me try and find my Zoom. There we go. I found it. Chat. There you are, friends. Okay, awesome. Oh, thank you. Padmini is here. Thank you so much. Okay, awesome. So now I see you again. I wasn't seeing you all. Okay, so on this, now I just want to show you some things like rankings. So they use an algorithm to rank people who've published content on the internet. Many of you know Steve Nuri. He's got like a million followers. Pascal also has 1 million followers. I was actually just on a call. Some of you might recognize him today. He interviewed me for the class we did on Maven. I didn't know that was going to happen, but it was cool. It was nice to meet him, right? But this is one of the tools that they use to get known. So success leaves clues. Follow these people. And I don't mean follow them, like follow the things they're doing. They are on this platform promoting their content. Some of the things along with that is the ability, let me go into my thing and I'll show you. So I don't, control this, but based on the content that I promote, these are the types of things that I've gotten. So apparently, what is this? Oh, I'm just a top 100 thought leader in general. Well, that's kind of cool. Top 10 agentic AI, top 25 agile, top 25 artificial intelligence, right? So these badges are given to you based on the work you're doing in the world. And that's kind of cool that someone is looking at that and going, oh, of all the people that are publishing content, we saw yours. Now, again, they might find you organically, or you could do what we do and just show them, like give them the links to the podcast you're doing. So it's not like you're paying to play, if you will. Like, it's not like I paid to get a top 10. The reason I'm top 10 is because of all the content that I built, right? And most of my content has the word agentic in it. And so it tends to recognize that. I don't know what this does. I haven't been there. Oh, okay. There's the credential link. So the benefit of this is that you can add it to your LinkedIn badges and all of that. But I share this with you because the magic is, once you know what you're doing, publish insights into what you're doing, whether it's blog posts, articles, videos. Videos are awesome. I hope you will do more of them, but I get it. Some of you don't want to. But create content and then align with a platform that will elevate your content to people outside of your network. And that's what the Thinkers 360 can do for you. All right. And I'm sure there's a benefit. I don't know if there's a benefit of me recommending you, but they have a bunch of different things. So these are the types of things that now elevate your status, right? So now if I put on I mean, I've had people reach out to me, be like, hey, congratulations on the top 10 agentic AI. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that happened. Where would I have seen that? So now I do every so often try to come back here and grab whatever badge I get, but the badges are organic. You are given them based on the work you do. So there's a reward. Some of you are like, I don't want to post. Nobody's going to see it. Thinkers 360 will help more people see your content. My other guidance to you is to also think about how do you create content? How do you create a personal brand? So the first thing you need to do in order to create a personal brand, oh, I'm not showing my screen. Sure. There you go. There you are. Sorry. So these were the badges I was talking about. So these are the badges they give you. I mean, look, I've got like digital twins. That's because I did one session and no one really talks about digital twins. So when we did all this content and promotion around the digital twin thing we did last month, I got a badge for it. I was the keynote speaker at where was it? Energy. Where's energy? It's in here somewhere, unless I fell. Oh yeah, renewable energy. I was a keynote speaker at 2 renewable energy events. So I did a bunch of promotion and content around renewable energy. So I got rated in the top 50. And again, it's not because I don't belong there. Like, I mean, I just found it surprising that I could rank like that because so few people in these spaces are actually publishing their perspectives. And that's all I'm asking you to do is publish your perspective. So pretty cool stuff. Okay. So that being said, yes, success leaves clues. Exactly, Yara, 100%. Okay. So one of the things, the other thing I wanted to mention to you, as you think about building your brand, is you do have to think about, remember day one, we talked about have, do, and be. Like, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be known for? Who do you want to be recognized as? Like, what do you want your brand to be? Make a decision about that. So enter into, we are down, we lost a few people doing homework yesterday, maybe because I forgot to post it. But we have 15 people in the running for our cool swag bag on tomorrow's announcement, and you'll see what that looks like. It's very cool. I'm very excited. It's so cool. I'm not going to steal my own thunder. You'll have to come tomorrow to see. If you still want to be in the running, you can go back into I Love AI and do your homework every day. It's good stuff. Like the first day we talked about creating your have, do, and be, so you have clarity on what you want in this world. And once you know that, you can frame your, like, one of the things I really do want is to equity in access to this technology, not just for people like my son and my dad, but also for people who go to a school like I did and had a teacher like I had that said, you don't belong in tech. You're not going to be a physicist. Like, even if you want that, it's not for you. Like, I want to create opportunities for us to go in and just show them what's possible, demonstrate that there's someone that looks just like them that did the thing that they desperately want to do, and not let them listen to the naysayers that they'll come across, especially in those early years in, grade school, middle school, high school. And so that's part of my brand is I want to be accessible. I want to talk to people in a language that they'll understand no matter what age they're in. I always say in my company, one of our core values is we go from the boardroom to the whiteboard, to the keyboard, to the chalkboard. Like, we go the whole way. We want to make sure the AI is accessible to everyone on the path, and that finding ways to create value with this technology is available to everyone. But I had to make that decision. So what do you care about? What is, I always say I'm a rational optimist. Like, I am hugely optimistic, but I'm also rational. Like, I'm worried about technology being used incorrectly. I'm a responsible AI engineer, right? So how do I make sure that when I've defined who I am, now I want to go through the process, and this is based on the homework yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, yesterday, where we want to now say, who are we plus AI? Right? So now I know what I want to have, do, and be in the world. I know my brand, what I want the world to see that I'm interested in promoting. Now I need to think about, what does that look like plus AI? Like, how do and this is part of the Ikigai we talked about, or Ikigai that we talked about a couple days ago, that when you're thinking about what you're going to do and how to get out of the people pile, there is no one with your lived experience. Like, you're the only one who lived this life. That plus understanding of that lived experience, knowing what you're good at, and now marrying those two things together. All the things I did, here's what I'm good at. Here's what I love to do, right? And finding the Venn diagram intermediary section of that. What are you good at? What do you love to do? And most importantly, what does the world need right now? And here's the magic of this moment right now is that the world needs your lived experience. They need what you love to do and what you want to do, as well as what you're good at, regardless of how technical it is. That skill set, if you examine how AI can make that better by simply asking a question like I just showed you in ChatGPT, like how do I use my skills with AI to solve these business problems in the finance industry? And then you start doing it without getting, like, you don't need a client, you don't need someone to pay you. I know we want people to pay us, but like every part of my success I built before I got the job, before I got the role, before I got the client. I built it first. This is why I always say show, don't tell. Build, be a doer, not a talker. Start with building. And I know I say building, I don't mean with code. I just mean like ideate what you can do, document what you can do, share it with the world. And there are three ways that you can share it. Number one, you can talk about it as like a blog post. And I learned this, some of you know this story. I learned this at LinkedIn. So I've done three. Anyway, I've done a few LinkedIn courses. And my first LinkedIn course got 3.4 million students. So it was very, very successful. And the pattern that they taught me there, we repeated in the Career Essentials for Gen AI, which was also extremely successful, hundreds of thousands of students in that course. And as a result of that, granted, I think the reason that my 3.4 million student class did so well is because it was right in the middle of COVID and people were just desperate to do something else. But it was also really good. But the pattern that I used to create that content was led by my LinkedIn editor. And the LinkedIn editor told me to do something, and I'm going to encourage you to do the same thing. So tonight, for homework, you're going to take what you've learned from what you want to have, do, and be, and establish what you want your brand to look like. It could be a rough sentence of like, I want to be known for this. This is what I want to represent in the world. Once you've done that, I want you to think about a topic related to that. So like whatever you want to do, find a topic you could talk about at length with no trouble, right? About that thing. And it should be because it's your ikigai, right? It's something you love, something you're good at. And now you're going to look at it through the lens of AI, which is what the world needs right now. So it's you plus AI. And now you're going to think about a single topic. For me, maybe it's one of those things. If you can't think of a topic, use what I just showed you in ChatGPT. What are problems in finance? What are problems in healthcare? What are problems in education? Find a niche, pick a niche. And then you're going to pick a topic that you can talk about at length. And you're going to do three things. And you're going to do all three because this is how you find out. It's how I found out what I'm great at. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the topic that you've chosen and you're going to basically write a 500-word blog post. You're not going to publish it. You might, but you don't have to. That's not the exercise. The exercise is just to write 500 words on the topic that you already can talk about at length. You already are super passionate about. Just write 500 words. It's basically 3 paragraphs. Not hard. Might be hard. Try it. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to write a paragraph. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to turn on voice memos on your phone and you're going to not read the paragraph. You're just going to talk about it for 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. Let's make it easy on you. 3 minutes. Just for 3 minutes, talk about the topic you love. And, basically I usually try and think about it like in 3 things, like these are the 3 things you should know. This, and this. Thanks. Bye. Right? Spend 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. There's no time limit. Don't spend a lot of time on it. But like, see how you feel just expressing your ideas through your voice, like literally your voice. And then the third thing I'm going to ask you to do is what I'm doing for you all right now. Turn on the camera, talk directly into the camera, and do what you did with your voice, but talk to a camera and see how you feel in video. My editor told me, he's like, do all 3 of these things and then come back to me. So I did my homework, as you will do tonight. Do all 3. Unless you've done this exercise before, but if you haven't, it's worth it. Do all 3. And what he told me to do was once I did it, I came to the meeting and I'm like, I don't know what this is for, but okay. Brought all 3 pieces, my blog post, my audio file, and my video. And I thought we were going to use that content. And his question to me was, where do you find the most friction? Like, what was the hardest for you to do? What was the thing you wanted to procrastinate, the thing you didn't do? Maybe you did shorter that you just didn't enjoy. What was the one of all of these? What was the one you just disliked the most? And I was like, oh, easy writing. For me, some of you are great writers, fantastic. So I hope you write more. For me, it was writing. I was like, oh, it took me so long to write 500 words versus just turning on a camera and talking, right? And so then he was like, okay, well, then conversely, which one was the least amount of friction? You almost enjoyed doing it. And I was like, oh, easy. I mean, some of y'all might know cameras. I love like this, where I feel like we're at a coffee table having a chat. Like, I love it. It's super fun. And so he was like, great, we're going to create all of our content this way on a video. And I took this not only for the classes that I did there, the content that I created, creating scripts, all the things, it starts with me just talking to a camera. Or sometimes I use just my phone, my voice memos. But I actually like the idea that you're right there and we're talking to each other. Like it makes me feel like, I don't know, like we're literally having a conversation. Call me silly, right? Like it is energizing to me. And so I can kind of trick myself into thinking we're actually talking and you're smiling back at me, even though I can't see you. Sometimes I can. But you're smiling back at me and you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, cool. Yeah. Oh my gosh, what good information. So I'm energized by this. And so I now reverse engineer all of my content. It starts with a video and then I reverse engineer it into text and into audio. And it's easy to do that now with the power of AI. But the moral of this story is you want to find the medium for creating content that is the least resistant to you, that you are almost at the point where you enjoy doing it and build all your content that way. And then you can leverage tools, and I'll throw them in the chat. You can leverage tools like, oopsie, I already had it up. You can leverage tools like Repost. I'll throw it in Repost or Repurpose, HTTPS /repurpose.com or HTTPS Descript. Anyone use these tools? Descript? I think it's descript.com. I'm not sure. You might have to Google that one. I'm going to click on them and see. Oh yeah, I did it right. Cool. Okay. So let me go ahead and share my screen really quick to show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to go here, share. Oh. Okay, cool. There we go. So I'm going to just type in the Descript. I have to spell it correctly. Right. So in Descript, you can start with text, but you can also start with anything. And it allows you to basically reformat it in any format that you want. So you can see here, if you can edit text, you can make videos, viral clips, all of that stuff. And this used to be the old-fashioned way, and now they've leveraged LLMs, but I've been using them for quite some time. But it just gives you the ability to like take content, turn that content into text. Again, depending on which side you start on, you might be a video person or an audio person, and you can turn that into text or vice versa. But it just gives you the ability to expand the surface area for where you can generate content. So it's really cool. Look, it's very, very cool. Okay, what was the other one I wanted to share with you? Oh yeah, Repurpose. I use this one as well. Oh, I didn't spell that one right. So sorry about that in the chat. So it's repurpose.io. So here, similar idea, like it is built for those people who create content. That's you all. And you can go in and create content in one platform and repurpose it across others. So I like it because it can separate your content from a big file into lots of little files. It can turn it from text into video, video into text, podcasts into blog posts. You do the work once and you can repurpose it and it maintains a lot of the content. So it's this idea of you do it once and get published everywhere. And a lot of people get caught up on this, but I will tell you, getting known is going to be a critical part of your success moving forward because there's so many people in the people pile and more people get added to that people pile every single day. So today I encourage you to, number one, build projects, again, with code, without code, but build end-to-end solutions where you as an individual are thinking through the entire solution framework, document that, and start publishing your experience building those solutions. Once you publish them, create lots of different versions of it. 10 things I learned, 5 things I would avoid, right? Like ask ChatGPT, five or Claude. I would probably ask Claude these questions. Like, what are 5 viral headlines I can use to create content posts that explain this project and describe the project? Like, use the tools at your disposal. You can even have them help you write the post, for goodness sakes, if you want to. I don't like to do that because I like storytelling, but if you're not a strong storyteller or you're feeling uncomfortable or not confident in that skill set, leverage AI to do that. It's only where you start, right? When you start, you might use AI. Over time, you might learn to enjoy it and you want to get better engagement. And so you'll transition to being more your authentic voice. It's completely up to you. But like, I love this animation that you see on the screen, right? Where you start with a quick video on Instagram and you cross-pollinate it to LinkedIn and, all sorts of Instagram, X, TikTok, really, really valuable. All right. So hopefully that is helpful. Let's see here. Oh, okay. People seem to see it. Blogs. I definitely use. Now, do you mean to host a blog, Afua? Is that what you're saying? Anyone else screen blank? I hope it's not blank. It seemed to be okay at the time, but are we good? Can you see it? Yara said she could see it, but I just want to make sure we're good. Okay. Okay, good. We're good. Okay, good. Thank you, Diana. Phew, little confirmation. I appreciate you all. So where do I put my blog? So let me just tell you. And again, this is Noelle's, this is always Noelle's way of doing things. There are 100 ways to do a thing. This is how I do it. So I'm a GoDaddy person. My website, noellerussell.ai, AI Leadership Institute, all of those are on am I still sharing my screen? I think I am. Can you guys see GoDaddy? Make sure you're all with me. Okay, good. Thank you. So awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to go to my products and I will show you how I host my blog on AI leadership. Oh, you know what? I'm going to show you an even better one. So I created a website for my book. It's called responsibleaibook.com. Easy, hopefully, for people to access. Why are we being so slow right now? Maybe I'll just refresh. I'm so impatient. All right, so let's see if it's relatively close. Do not judge me by all the URLs. I told you all yesterday, my method of madness last night. So this is the 3rd night in a row. I dreamt working all night. Like from the time my eyes closed to the time I woke up, I built something in my sleep. Anyway, I woke up like, can I just go to the beach? Subconscious. I built something. It was awesome. And of course, I'm now going to build that thing. But here it is, responsibleaibook.com. So I'm going to just show you, I use my website blogging to do this work. And this is a brand new blog, a brand new website. So I haven't, it's still gaining SEO traction. So don't judge me too much on that. But this is what it looks like. And what I did is exactly what I'm telling you all to do, let me go to website. I'll show you a couple examples. But so this is my new book. We've got a brand new opportunity to join the AI Insiders group. It's a fun little club that we've started in order to help promote the book. Not only that, but also create responsible AI meetups all over the country as I do my book tour. So if you want to be part of it, please feel free to join us. But notice down here, so as I wrote my book, and I'm just going to go in and see one of them. As I wrote my book, I would document frameworks that I think about all the time. Oh, I guess I probably need to go and actually see this. So this is the website, right? So one of the frameworks in my book is responsible AI governance. And so I wrote a post that says 10 ways to integrate responsible AI governance. Now, right now they're blog posts. Over the next couple of days, I'll be turning these into lead magnets, which are PDF white papers that you'll download and in exchange for your email address so that I can market to you when I sell my products and services. But right now they're just blog posts because I was documenting my frameworks on this website. So rather than putting all the content here, which is a lot to look at, I'm going to build it in a prettier format in a PDF that you can download. But this is like my blog, but it's very intentional, right? So I called it AI Leadership Tools for Success. These are all the frameworks I use at different stages of development and deployment in a responsible AI project. But notice some of the things that you might see that are in common. 10 ways to integrate governance, 9 steps to evaluate architectures, 25 ways. These are really critical. If you go and look at like, if you go to like a newsstand or you go to Barnes and Noble or the airport and you're looking at like magazine covers, all of them have lists. Lists are extremely compelling. And so like people want to know, right? Like when you see 10, it opens a loop on like it opens a loop in their mind. And they're like, well, I want to know 10. And so they want to come in and kind of figure out what they are, even if they only scan it. And so this process, like I said, here you'll see, I have a bunch of them here. But I want to show you another similar way that I've done this as well. Many of you know I think I showed it to you all yesterday, right? My LinkedIn posts. So on LinkedIn, hold on one second. Sorry. Someone's at the door. So I need to tell my husband to come talk to them. Someone's at the door. Can you come get it? Thank you. Bye. Okay. He's on the way. Okay, he's coming. Okay, sorry. Someone's like staring at me. So funny. I really should shut my window. Like I have like hurricane shutters. I probably should shut. But all right. Let's see here. Sorry, got distracted. Okay. Oh yeah, I was going to show you the other thing. So let me go back to my domain portfolio and show you the other website that I have, which is Noelle Russell, and how I blogged there. But this is how I host my blogs. So I host them on a website. The benefit of that is that each one of those blog posts become a lead magnet that I can use to drive traffic to my website. So let me go to Noelle Russell. Let's see here. I have a lot. There we are. Manage. So I wake up, I get an idea, I grab a URL. That's kind of how I work. And if it's an idea, right, I grab that URL, which will manage the campaign. Oh no. Okay. Let's see here. I didn't realize my husband's not here. Okay. So, let's retry that. Should work. It's probably a little worried about my bandwidth. So I'm going to go to manage. And this one you'll see, like I use my blog post to drive traffic to my site. So in this case, I get about 7,800 visitors. And about 1,000 of that comes from social media, all because I'm creating content and driving it. So let me go ahead and let's just click on it. Or just go and look at it. So this is the published site. And so this is me. And of course, I'm zoomed in. So the pictures aren't this big. I'm just zoomed in for your benefit. But you can see I put my podcasts here, my certifications, but most importantly, here's my blog. So it shows some of the events that I've done. And again, all of this is SEO enabled. And so this is the platform that I use. Oh yeah, absolutely. So you can just go to https://noelle.ai. That is the website for it. Oh, cool. Thanks, Sherilyn. Awesome. Amazing. So, can you please zoom in a bit? Dang it. Which one? On this one? Oh, maybe it was on this one, maybe. Oh, it was probably on this page. Yeah, because they're really small at the end. Oopsie. I don't want to print it. There we go. Yes. So you can see that's my blog post. Hopefully that's what you were asking about, Diana. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, if you already own it, you could also use other platforms. Some of you have websites like on Wix or Squarespace. So you don't have to use GoDaddy. They provide the same thing. So if you wanted to, actually, I can show you an example of a client of mine. This is their website on Squarespace. and again, it's zoomed in, but like they built their website very similar, right? Like these kind of WYSIWYG sections and content and reviews and all that. So you can do either one, but then have a blog. So I'm working with them now. They're a new client. So I'll be encouraging them to do exactly what I'm telling you, which is to create content that'll attract people to your site and engage with you. Oh yeah, WordPress too, Yara, for sure. I was gonna say like WordPress was my choice, my technology of choice for building websites, like 10 years ago. But it's a little harder, as you know, right? With plugins and it requires more time. I can stand up a website from idea to website in less than 10 minutes. So I'm pretty big fan. And on Google, they have a tool called Google Arrow. Or I'm sorry, on GoDaddy. Let's see if I can pull up there. There we go. Let's try. There we go. So when you either get a new one or use an existing domain, it automatically generates copy, meaning headlines, sections, like all of that based on a specific area that you're in. If you're in a super niche market, like underwater knitting or whatever, it won't know it. But if you're a consultant, marketer, chiropractor, medical physician, like any of that. Awesome. Thank you, Javier. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Great. So there's some suggestions in the chat as well. Oh yeah, perfect. So I just look at the least, like I said, that's why I mentioned like this is how I do it, but this is a combination of me having over 250 domains registered with GoDaddy. So it's just easy for me to click and go. But there's definitely other platforms for that. I also have, Namecheap and Blue something. So, but getting known is important, and getting a domain, like your name on a domain, like put stake in the sand, like draw, it's kind of like the Wild West, right? When people would go out and literally homestead and stick their stake in the ground and say, I own this land. Like if you have not done that, like now is the time. And you can, of course, use an AI domain like mine, noellerussell.ai. I also own noelle.ai. Like it's a great opportunity to, and again, I did that because AI has always been part of like my brand composition. And so but I would be very careful about using a domain name that attaches you to like a product or a service, which I have made that mistake as well. Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Javier. Awesome. But yeah, so some of you are technologists and will be okay with the complexity that comes with the WordPress implementation. But now, like, and I would encourage you want something that will get out the door very quickly. Like, for example, lots of people get stuck in design mode, logo design, website design of, stationery or whatever. Like the only thing you need to do is create something that you can point people to. They actually don't care about your brand. They don't care about your name, your look and feel. They want the content that you're offering. So remember that when you actually start going down this path. Okay, so the moral of today's story is to get a role in AI. Number one, I hope you will go over to Maven. I will drop I think I have that bit.ly here somewhere. I'll drop that link into the chat. Let's see, Maven. I think it's in here. There we go. So I'll grab this link. My live is already done, but there's going to be amazing people doing, there's 4 more sessions. So I was the first, but there's a ton more. And they're going to bring the fire. So they'll be doing it every Thursday. Please come and join us there. With that code, you'll get a discount as you see on the screen. So that is what I'd encourage. I did a deep session there right before this session today. The other thing though is build projects, like build out these projects, because being able to elegantly discuss real work will separate you from the pack. And then what will separate you even further, or even the ability to get you separated from the pack and then up a level on the pile of people, is to actually be seen in the world. If someone Googles you, give Google something to see. If someone asks about you on ChatGPT, have content there. Be willing to you already know more than most people when it comes to AI. If you're in my community, like you already know a lot. So be willing to share what you've learned, because you're already ahead of some people in the world, certainly those who've never heard of AI. So be willing to share what you've learned, how you've learned it, document that in projects that you can speak to, and then get the word out. Like start promoting your content, either with your voice, with your face, or with your words. I encourage you to do that. Really, yes, exciting. Yes, Bill, let's go. So it's my pleasure, as always, to be here with you today. I will be here tomorrow. We have a really cool session that's going to round out our week, our I Love AI week. We will be presenting a couple of different opportunities for you to actually work with us and put your fingers on a keyboard and build with us if that's something that you want to do. We also, as the AI Leadership Institute, we do sessions inside businesses. We deliver workshops, classes all the time. So if that's something that you want us to do for your own organization, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are also on a book tour, so don't forget to become part of our Insiders organization. I think I put the link in there before, but you'll see us remind you of that as well. So thanks for being here. I hope you found today helpful, that I've given you some ideas that maybe you haven't thought of before. And as always, I really look forward to seeing you on Fridays on our call. We will be doing this call at noon. Then we have a internal insiders call in the AI Leadership Institute at 2. And then tomorrow at 4, we do our public I Love AI call, which is a free-for-all. You can ask any question on any topic, and the leaders that are in our community, we're here to answer all of those questions. So really excited. Thank you so much. If you are up for sharing a testimonial, please feel free to do that. It's just a way for me to increase my reach. I post on LinkedIn and I share with people, like, people like it, and it's better if people actually do like it. If you have any feedback that you'd like to share on how we can make this a better experience, please don't hesitate to provide that as well. So thanks for having us. I appreciate y'all. See y'all. Thank you so much. And yeah, this is on YouTube. It's also on LinkedIn. But most importantly, it is organized inside the I Love AI Challenge classroom inside the I Love AI community. And so we'll put that link. You can get to it very quickly by just going to noelle.ai. And that is where both links are available to our community. So see you soon. It was amazing. Yes, please check school again if you would like. All right, chat with you soon. Talk to you later. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.